What up? What up? It's your man Sean P coming in live. This is the Sean P Experience, man. I'm your host, Sean P, uh, self-published author, the host of the Sean P Experience, sitting with the Griots, also part of the Griot podcast and radio personality. Lately, I've been interviewing some of my favorite Bookstagram friends, and this show is just like the others. I have a special guest, my friend Nia J, aka Pages Galore in the building. How you doing today?
Hey, good afternoon, people. Good people, black people, everybody. Hey, Jonathan. How you doing?
This has been like a long time in the making. Been rocking for years together, discussing books and everything else. So to have you on the show is definitely very special for me. I'm so excited.
Well, I'm happy to be here. Finally, listen, the way that my life is set up, you got to catch me, and you called me this time. So I was like, yeah, sure. You was like, hey, friend, you gonna be on my podcast? I said, you know what? Hell yeah. So now here we are. I'm happy to be here. We can do all of the things, Bookstagram being what it is, we formed a lot of great relationships here. So it's definitely good to like foster them and pour into those people. So I'm happy to be here.
So I love to go back to the beginning with my Bookstagram friends because I was a late bloomer in the reading game. So I love to hear people's origin story. Like, take us back to the young Nia J. How did you fall in love with reading? And what are some of the early books that made you like really get into this reading thing?
Okay, so let me tell it, because I like to embellish. I've been reading since birth. I belong to a very elite group of readers where we came out the womb, cord cut, book in hand. It's a secret society of us. It's a very small group, but my mom was a reader. My granddad, my mom still is a reader, but she's an audiobook girly now. My granddad, he read when I was growing up. All I ever saw him read was like the newspaper, and he collected encyclopedias. My granddaddy was born in the 20s, so by the time I pulled up in the 90s and I was learning how to read, he would every Saturday he would go to the corner and he would get the newspaper, and I would sit outside with him, and he would read like the sports section and like the first 2 pages, and then he would just give me the funnies. So before I even knew how to read, my mom always tells the story, when daddy first gave you that damn newspaper, you was sitting outside and I was reading it upside down. But I was engrossed. So that's where I started, I guess. My mom and I, because we're from Brooklyn, so every weekend we would go into the city, we would hit up a bookstore, whether it was the World Trade Center, because there was a Borders at the World Trade Center. We would go to Ruby's Books. We would kind of hang out sometimes in like Park Slope. There was a bookstore out there. It's still there, actually. Shout out to Community Bookstore. That's a indie bookstore. And that's where I spent a lot of my time growing up. Oh, we went to the library. I remember, I think what was that book called? Is it King Mafaro's Daughters? What's the name of that daggone book? I think that was what it was. I remember that being like a favorite. A lot of people, I was a Nancy Drew girl. I didn't get into Goosebumps because I just didn't want to. So like Nancy Drew, I remember King Mafaro's Daughters. I hope that was the name of that man, because it was a king. It was a book about his daughters. It was cute. And then like my mom tried to get me into Junie B. Jones, Amelia Bedelia, and I hated that book. I remember my mom was like, at one point my mom was forcing me to read stuff, and I was like, I don't like this. Like, I don't. If you tell me I have to read something, I'm not going to do it. But if you just let me cook, I could tear through anything. So one day she took me to a bookstore in the city, and she let me pick out my own books. We stayed in that bookstore for like hours, and I used to pile up books, and I would sit on the couch in the Barnes & Noble, because that's back in the day when Barnes & Noble used to have a couch, and you could just kind of curl up. And the book that got me was Captain Underpants. And my mom wasn't sure. I was like, Mom, I like this one. She wasn't sure about it, the content and everything. She was like, if you finish this one, I'll buy you another one. Set her up, because from the time we got on the train from Manhattan till we got to our stop in Brooklyn, I had finished the book. And she looked at me and was like, you really just, and I asked you for multiple. So that's kind of where my story started. And then, believe it or not, I was the person who read classics. but like the illustrated ones, you know which ones I'm talking about. I used to read those. So like Dracula, Frankenstein, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I enjoyed them when they were in that hardcover with the pictures in it. And then after that, I graduated to Harry Potter, but we're not supposed to say that out nowadays. But yeah, and from there, it just kind of took off. Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned your grandfather reading the paper. I'm always talking about this to my friends. When
Mm-hmm.
I'm traveling around, I don't really see like the old school guys sitting up with their legs crossed reading
Yeah,
the
I miss
paper.
that.
Uh, Growing up at my grandfather's home, my grandfather had like 5 or 6 different papers coming to the house until he
Mm-hmm.
couldn't see anymore. He had all these papers all the time, man. I think it was something special for a guy to see other men like
Yeah,
reading. You know, like
it's
what did
nostalgia
that mean for you, for your grandfather reading like that? What did that
man.
mean for you?
I think because we all read, it was normal. Like if my grandfather didn't read, I would have been concerned. But like I literally grew up surrounded by readers. Like it was the newspaper. My mom read, all like the black authors. She had everybody in her house. Cause I actually I pre-inherited because I took them. I said, I'm gonna take these before you die. So like she had all like the black classics. My grandmother, she was a shopper, so she kept all her magazines, but there was always a book somewhere. So like with my granddad reading and just kind of looking through like the things that were happening like in that era, just to kind of see how he responded to it, it was always great to see. But like I don't think that it was anything like enlightening. It's like I read because they read, and they didn't make it seem like it was this grand thing. It was like reading is like the equivalent to breathing without saying you have to breathe. So like that's kind of like what it was for me in my household. So that's just kind of how that's just what stuck. Like I didn't reject it at all.
You mentioned even the magazines. I was talking about this a lot of times. Like you would go anywhere and they had magazines everywhere. The barbershop, any
Mm-hmm.
hair salon, like
Yep.
all the ebony magazines everywhere, Jet magazines, of course, Essence, all these different things. Like
Mhm.
you don't really see an abundance of that like you used to, you know?
Yeah, and they say that like physical publications for those like they still print them, but it's not in the same way because everything is everything is digital now. But like I am, and I'm somebody that has owns multiple reading devices. Like I still focus on and prioritize physical copies of anything. Like there are 16 bookcases in my house. Like I read on these Kindles, but I buy books also, like because you have to keep doing it because in the ways that like magazines they haven't died, but like how they've dwindled. Like you hate to see that happen, especially now with the way that the world is set up. You need them physical copies. I remember when I was in school in one of my classes last fall, we were talking about Frederick Douglass and how his memoir had gotten edited so many times and watered down because his when he was originally publishing, the white publishers were not okay with him telling the entire truth. And it wasn't until I think it was his memoir or something that had gotten published, like republished the last time, where everything was in it because it was published through a black publishing house. And it was like, and stuff like that, it makes it for me that much more real. It's like I need to make sure I have my physical copies because in the digital copies they change stuff so much and you won't know because you buy the license but you don't own the book. So anytime there's an update or there's a change to it, you won't even know what happened. So I make sure and I like prioritize having physical copies. So like especially like with magazines and just like books itself because you had to come get this book out my house to make an edit to it. Like it's always been important. And then on top of that, like because the kids nowadays, everybody's on the phone, you can't tell the difference between a tablet and a Kindle. You know what I mean? Like when you're reading or if you just on your phone, it's like I think that visual is still important. So I keep them all up and through this house.
No, you're
Absolutely.
definitely right. I mean, I love my share of audio books. The past couple years, my main form is audio, but
Mm-hmm.
I still get the physical. And I love my Kindle sales. We love our Kindle sales and all that. But I think it's
Mm-hmm.
important for kids to still see you with that physical book,
Right.
still turn those pages. Even in some of the schools now, the kids aren't even touching the book. Like from kindergarten through high school, everything is a tablet, everything
And
is a
that
laptop. Like I think it's something that's missing if you're not touching the actual book.
it's insane because I feel like you don't connect with it the same. You just don't. So but more power to these kids. But like I'm absolutely going to be forever an advocate of physical copies of anything. because we need them. Okay, need them.
And so tell me, you read a lot of different things I see on your page. What is like your go-to favorite genre? If you got to pick one genre, what's your go-to tried and true?
I would say contemporary fiction. It would have to be like, but it's hard because I may not like. I'm a fiction girly hands down, but I am more inclined to respect the writer more than I am the genre they write in. So Bernice McFadden, for example, she's tap danced all over the place. She has her memoir, she has fiction, she has historical fiction. Like whatever she write, I'm buying it. If she decides she wants to write out a cookbook, it's mine. She can write out a missing ad on a milk carton, it's mine. Like I think that when I find authors that I just know it's like, yeah, it's you. I don't care what you write. It doesn't matter the genre. You'll end up writing across genres, and I'm about all of it. But I think on like a regular, like on a regular degular, I would probably just say like contemporary fiction. But I'm also partial, most recently, to historical fiction. So just let's just say fiction. Let's just pull up the whole umbrella and say it's a fiction umbrella, and that's where I reside underneath.
So you remind me of myself when it comes to sports. I don't really have a certain team. I like following certain guys. Wherever they
Mm-hmm.
playing that, I'm watching those games, man. I'm not really
Makes
big on the team. So who's your top five writers? Top
oh,
five.
top five: Bernice McFadden, J. California Cooper. Who else do I love? I like what's her name? Asha Bendele. I feel like I always say her name wrong. I don't know how to say her last name. But she only has 3 books, and only one of them is a non one of them is a fiction piece, and then she has 2 memoirs, but writes down. Let's see. Auntie B, J. California Cooper. Let's say Asha Bendele. Who else? Honore Fanon Jeffers, because the love songs of W.E.B. Du Bois has forever changed my life. And then I should be nice and throw a man in there, huh? I don't have
You
to.
ain't got to. You ain't got
Alice
to.
Walker and Alice Walker.
Okay. So
Mm.
everybody got their own criteria of what makes a top five kind of author. What are some things you're looking for to say you reading it? Like, you know what? This person belongs on the
And
Mount
look,
Rushmore.
because I
What's
said
some of the
Asha,
criteria?
Lord, I said Asha instead of Tony, and we don't play about mother in this house. She got her own shelf. But what I look for, like, you just have to. I like bold authors. I like audacious authors. I like the authors where you can tell when they wrote their pieces, they didn't care about anyone's opinions that were outside of the intended audience. Um, because because like Bernice McFadden, she holds no punches when she writes. Um, and the way that she develops her characters, it's like I like authors who have the ability to like truly put me in the book. Like I'm not like reading it from like a surface level, like I'm in a plane. You know what I mean? And like, you know, like when you're on a plane and you take off and you can still see everything below you before you like disappear into the clouds. I don't feel like that when I'm reading. I feel like I'm in the house with each of these characters. Like each and every one of them as they're moving through the story, like I can feel everything. I might be an empath and I don't know it, but like I like that in a book. And I, like I said, the boldness, like they're not afraid to say exactly what it is. And then when they go and they do, when the authors have their author conversations and everything, they stand 10 toes down and they reinforce everything that they wrote. It's not like, oh, this is for Honore said, I wrote this book for Black people. You know, Toni Morrison will tell you the same thing, but she's a lot more colorful when she be saying stuff, you know. But like something that just grabs me and holds me hostage for the duration of, like, I need that because some stuff is just like real fluffy. And I like when I can like see the plot and just follow it. And then I turn around and be like, oh damn, the plot twist is right here. You know what I mean? Like that's like my main thing. Other than that, if it don't slap like that, I don't want it. I don't I don't want it. Return it.
So you named some of the classic OG writers, right? Are there any
Mm-hmm.
like current up and coming people that you see like, you know what, that person got potential to be a
Morgan
future
Jerkins is on
top
her way.
five? Who's
I
that?
like Morgan Jerkins. because I read Zeal not too long ago. Thankfully I read it while it was still in ARC. Um, and I remember, I think one of Morgan's first pieces was her memoir, and it was like, girl, who told you to do that? And then Call Baby dropped, and I haven't read that one yet. But then Zeal came out, and after I read it, I said, so I feel like Morgan is building in a good way. Because, sometimes authors, they'll write that first banger, and then their first book would be like 5, and then everything after that is trash. And then you have the ones where it's like, they write that first book and it's like, oh, okay, I see you. It's like, hey, I'm here. And then that next book, it gets better. And then like the greatness just continues to build. I see that for her because Zeal was real good. I was very impressed with Zeal.
I definitely plan on getting it.
You got to touch on that. And it was a good multi-generational story. And we talked about it. It kind of covers the Great Migration from the South up north. Like there was so much. I was like, oh, we outside. So that was very good. I would put that in a category like close to love songs. Like she's on her way with that. What's her name? Victoria Christopher Murray. She wrote Harlem Rhapsody. She did that by herself. I think because the last couple of books that she had written, she was co-writing. But I think Harlem Rhapsody she did on her own. That was good. But I think she's also written a couple of other pieces, and I just kind of haven't gotten into them. I did The Personal Librarian.
She had a big sale recently, like for Prime. I guess like getting up toward Prime Day. She had a big sale like last week. A bunch of her titles.
Okay, because I think I've done Personal Librarian. I bought First Ladies, and then I read Harlem Rhapsody. So I've read 2 so far with her name to them. Let me ask my Kindle what I've been reading because my Kindle know my business more than I do.
You have so many Kindles. Which one is that? You got so many.
I do.
And are you buying a new one for Prime Day? It is Prime Week. Are you buying another Kindle?
It's happy Prime to the people.
Now tell my audience that don't know you, how does this make sense? Tell my audience, how do you acquire this many Kindles?
I mean, it makes sense to me. So I had gone viral on TikTok before I deleted my TikTok when I was telling the story of my Kindles. So I think, well, as of most recently, these 2 Kindle Oasises, I guess that would be the plural. These are my most recent Kindles. This is the Kindle that has the button on the sides. So you can like legit just lay in the bed and push the buttons. And I got the little strap on there. These are good these have now been upgraded to my bed, my in the bed Kindles. That way I don't have to worry about that remote. Huh?
You have travel Kindles? You have Kindles when you're sitting downstairs? Like
this is the Kindle that stays in my bed. This is my new travel Kindle. That's the Oasis. I have the Paperwhite. This is the pink one, but not the metallic one. This is just the back is pink. I wish the whole thing was pink, but I don't think they've gotten that far yet. I like this one to go on like my bigger purses when I'm just like out. But then I also have my purse Kindle, which is my Kindle Basic. And
wait. You said for your bigger purse?
Yes.
You bought a Kindle that fits your purse specifically?
Yes.
Boy.
Because this is like more so my crossbody Kindle. And this is for like my tote bags. Like if I'm in a tote bag, I'll take the bigger one. But if it's a crossbody day, I take my Kindle Basic. And this is one of the new ones too. So these are the 2 newest ones. If they drop the Basic in pink, all pink, it's mine. So that'll be maybe 9 or 10. We won't talk about. I think I still got one in the box too. But anyway, yeah. So this one is for my crossbodies. This one's for my tote bags. This one is for my couch. And then this one is my library Kindle. So I keep it upstairs in my library.
Time out. Wait. Give me a time out, Coach. A library Kindle?
Yes.
Keep going.
This one upstairs in my library. And this one, and then this is my, this was my Kindle that I used to keep in my bed. But I have since upgraded my bedtime Kindle to the Kindle Oasis. So, yeah. And I also read on my iPad sometimes.
Is your library the same on all these Kindles, or you have different libraries altogether? per Kindle?
All the same. I have one Kindle account, I have one Amazon account, and it syncs all of them. But sometimes Amazon will trip me up because they'll say you got too many devices. You got to pick which book you want to read, which device you want to read this on, and that's only because my phone. Also, I log into my Kindle app on my phone, but I don't read on my phone, so it registers it as a device. It's a mess, but yes, I
Friend,
utilize
you
every
have a lot
single.
going on, friend. You got a lot going on.
It's not that bad. It's not.
So most people change their case on their Kindle. They put stickers and all that. You get a whole different device.
Correct. And they all have their own stickers. See, I got stickers here. This one has really cool stickers. My Kindle Little has a whole bunch of stickers. My bedtime Kindle, I had got a stock card and I put the stickers on that. And that's what kind of where I stopped with the decorating. That's like plenty of stickers though.
Okay. Before we move on, are you sponsored by Kindle? Are you sponsored by Amazon, KDP?
I wish I was. I really do. I wish
Well, if
I was.
anybody out there watching this, please send a letter to Amazon and tell them the number one purchaser is live in the face. She needs some sponsorship.
Yeah. And there's also another basic in the box, but I haven't opened it yet.
Another basic in the box.
Yeah. So I have one.
And what's that going to be for? What's going to be the kitchen, the bathroom? What you going to do with that? The shower?
You know what? The way I am about germs and stuff, like I should have a bath time Kindle. Like when I want to do like a bubble bath, like you remember how Rev Run used to be in the tub with his BlackBerry? I could, like, I do read in the tub, but like I haven't gotten that far. Like I probably could allocate one, but I also feel like it's gonna come out of the bathroom when I'm not in the tub. So it's like I just walk one in there. Options.
Okay, this is good. So anybody watching this that never had a Kindle, right? They just had physical books. They've never done the digital. What's the best one to get? They just starting getting their feet wet. What do they start with the Kindle?
Okay, I can do that. If you're a physical book kind of person, and because we won't make it specific to the girlies. Like if you're a physical book reader, right? But you want to switch into something digital because, you know, your backpack might be getting too heavy. Because some of them books, when they 700 pages, who's carrying that? Like I can, but do I want to, right? I would say start with the Kindle Basic. Because, and then on top of that, the cool thing about Kindles is that you would think that like the 8 and 16 gigs does not hold any, like it don't hold a lot of books. Like I have more than 800 books in my Kindle library as a whole. And regardless of which Kindle I'm on, I don't have any issues.
You said how many?
I have north of 800. Like I definitely have more than 800 books. And
I'm surprised.
And
I thought you would have had way more than that.
I think that's me being nice. Like I don't, because I say 800 because that's probably the last time I actually cared to look. But by the time you add in arcs and everything else, I don't know what's on there. Like I know I got a lot, but I'm not even at like 10 gigs. Like they don't hold as much space as you think they do, if that makes sense. But I would say get the basic. Because if it's like literally in the palm of your hand and like it has like you have good control with it. But if you want a bigger screen, then I would say just go ahead and get a Paperwhite because it's just a little bit bigger, you know.
Okay, so a lot of ladies watch the show. So I'm sure you have lady specifics, like you know, certain bags and certain situations. Go ahead and talk to the ladies.
Okay, ladies. Okay, so for example, today's purse is just my little Coach Brooklyn.
And you have actual examples. Keep going.
Huh?
You have actual examples. Keep going.
Oh yes, absolutely. So today's purse is the Coach Brooklyn. I think this is like the 26th. And I got a bunch of shit in here, including some fuzzy socks. But I had like, this is my Kindle Basic. I could just drop it right on in there and that's it. But it can also fit if I wanted the bigger one, you know, I could drop it in there and it don't take up no space. It doesn't take up too much space, you know? So like, that's why I said, if I have like a tote bag, if I got a big mama type bag, I'll drop my bigger one in there because I know it can hold, and I might just want it to be a little bit of something that, like I can see. But if I want something, like if it's a crossbody, then I have the smaller one. If it's a bigger bag, I got the bigger one. And yeah, that's all I got. But
You know
I
what's
love it.
funny?
Hmm.
The Kindle question was not even one of my questions, and that was the whole rabbit hole to itself. I
Oh
love
yeah,
that.
we can go down a Kindle rabbit hole anytime. But yeah, I think the Kindle in all sizes is a good time.
Oh yeah, yeah, for real, for real. So my next question is: so tell me about the moment you took your love of reading and said, you know what, I'm gonna go public. I'm gonna start the Bookstagram journey and everything. What was that moment you wanted to share with the world? And um, what was your idea when you first started? What were some of your goals when you first started your page?
Nothing. Like, what's so funny? I started my book page because my friends were sick of me. Um, like I said, I've always been a reader. So when me and one of my girlfriends, when we used to go on vacation, we were like polar opposite. She stay up all night and I'm an early riser. So whatever trip we were on, I would be up at like 6:30, but I don't want to stay in the bed. I don't want to lay there quiet because you sleep. So I would literally just throw on my bathing suit and I would take my book and I would go down to the pool. I would be at the pool from about 6:30 till about 9 o'clock, and she would come find me. And she knew where I was because I'm always reading. But in that, after a while, my friends did start to get bored with the way that I used to just yap about books, because I can go on for hours, especially if I done got caught up in a novel. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to talk about books on the internet. So I decided to go ahead. Um, I decided to just go ahead and make my book page. I said, you know what? Well, I'm just going to do this here. So I was just reading and posting. It was never a legitimate rhyme or reason to like me saying, oh yeah, I want to be a book influencer. I just wanted to talk about books, and I wanted to be in a space where I could also meet other people who were also talking about books. And if it just so happened that we read the same books or we can pass those book racks back and forth, then that was a plus. It ended up blossoming into all of these other things. Because when I first started, my name was Booked and Busy. Then sometime, when did I change my name? It had to been like right before COVID. I was like, I wanted to change it because there were so many people that had book a variation of Booked and Busy. And I was like, I can't take this. I was like, you know what? Pages galore. And then that's just like what stuck from there. And then everything else that kind of just came in after. Me and the melanated reader, we be out here in these streets. We just be doing shit. At one point in time, matter of fact, I remember, I think one of the first times we went live, and this is the craziest story because she was like, are you okay? We were on live and I got the call that my grandmother passed away. And my mother was, I was like, hold on. And Chris said, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, my grandma just died. Come on, we're going back on live. She said, wait a minute. I said, it's okay. Like it was an expected thing, but we were so wrapped up in what we were talking about. We were just up there shooting the shit and having a good time. We used to have people come up there and dance in the camera. And we would do like giveaways that way. We were just like literally on live building community, just talking to people about books or not talking about books. And from there, it just continued to grow into all of these different things. We done so much on this internet, child. We sold out a book on Amazon. We've done several buddy reads together. I just be online talking shit about books. She be online talking shit about books. Sometimes I just be online and authors would hop into our lives or into my lives. Mateo has randomly popped up on me. Kiese, Honore, Disha, feel y'all, like all of the things just were like happening at random, and we were just doing stuff, So that kind of just added like fuel to the fire as far as being in the book community. Next thing you know, like that word influencer was popping around. It's like, oh yeah, sure, that's me, I guess. Um, but yeah, other than that, it was unintentional. Like I didn't expect for it to be what it was. And a couple of times, like I've had some real good runs. Like I love the book community, but sometimes I just be sleepy. And then I kind of just want to read. And then like when the world is imploding, it's hard for me sometimes to like act as if these things aren't happening. And because reading is already political in and of itself, when all of the things start happening, because Crystal, no, I don't have no filter, and I will cuss anybody out on the internet when they say crazy stuff behind a book, or it's like you didn't do research, you don't have the right information. Like I don't want to talk to you if your main source is Twitter. You know what I mean? Like where are the books with all of the information that can support what you just said crazy? Like I cuss, so she be having to reel me in. So sometimes I kind of stay offline, but the book space specifically, I never saw this. It just kind of pulled up, and I was like, okay, hey, we here.
So you and Crystal, the metanated reader, I had on the show a few weeks ago.
Uh huh.
What do you think it is that draws people to y'all content? Like the draw is just there. Whenever y'all put a book up and we're gonna buddy read this, like people just come out the woodwork, stamp from the beginning. I remember that run stamped. Y'all did some other books y'all have done buddy reads and everybody just joined in. What's the
Child,
attraction you think?
we're dangerous creatures. I think that when we back like during like the peak of COVID and even up until maybe I'd say even early like 23, I say this all the time, and this is where I get in trouble. So, go ahead and take this soundbite because you're gonna have to run with it. People be lying on this internet when it comes to these books. And that ain't me. And it's not Crystal. And I think that something has to be said to the type of uh originality that comes from us when we're talking about the way that these books move us. Because I mean, shoot, once upon a time, me and Crystal used to be on live in our bonnets. We, I remember like it was early COVID. There was always there was a discourse about how publishers would send books to influencers like with like mass followings, or you're sending books by black authors to white readers, and then they're further down the bestseller list, or they're not getting the correct kind of promo because certain readers that they can't relate to these books, but you're only sending them to these specific people, and it makes it difficult to push the book the way it truly needs to be because you're not putting it in the right hands. So when we got books and they were doing the things, we was in the camera, bonnets on, stressed out, pajamas on, we on live early in the morning. I would pull up on pub day and talk about a book. It was, it was just to be in the space. And as honest and blunt and direct as I am, I don't have time to sugarcoat, especially when they were sending out books. So there's some authors that I can't stand, but we're not gonna talk about them. Where it's like there would be people coming online and they wanted so badly to be in the mix of publishing, where it was like, I really want them to see me. I really want them to keep sending me books. So I'm gonna lie about these books. So then I would listen to somebody's review and I say, now I know y'all didn't get up here and say that about this book, and it's disconnected, it's disjointed, it don't make no sense. There ain't no black people in this book. You don't see yourself. Like it's so, it's I ain't got no filter. So, I think that people gravitate towards that because like, oh, she real when it comes to the way that she talks about these books. I ain't gonna lie to you. If it's trash, I tell people all the time, like when I used to get a lot of emails and DMs, and even still to this day, hey, I would love for you to read my book and then leave an Amazon review. Baby, I don't read you won't ever see a book on my page that I have not read, because you will not bamboozle and manipulate these people that I report to. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. So I think that also, I think that's what also allows for people to gravitate towards me. In addition to the, we was all giving shit away, like we've all done the things like build the followers and everything else. But I think people stay because like I'm likable, maybe just a little bit, like you like me, but you don't kind of thing. But it's like, Nia gonna tell you the truth about that book. I tell you a joke, but I never tell you a lie. And some of these books that people have promoted, it's like y'all are lying to these people, and they go out and they buy these books. And they don't be good. Like they're not even, oh, well, I like this for me, but I can see why she didn't like it. Nah, some of these books are awful, And a lot of times I don't think that they've read them at all. It's like, oh, make sure you check out this book. Yeah, I barely read the summary on the back. I don't want to do that. Nope. Like if there is a book that I get prior to, like if I get a galley or something and it's crazy, I will absolutely talk about it. Other than that, you won't hear nothing from me about that book. And sometimes that causes for me to post sparingly because I'm still in school, I don't read as much. But when I catch a good one, I'm gonna light up the internet about it. So like that's definitely one of my things, and I think that's why a lot of people have like, yep, it's Nia and Crystal, because we've been out in these streets just being reckless. Ain't no script behind it. It just it just kind of
And
works out sometimes.
you mentioned the pandemic, right? For all the
Mm-hmm.
folks that joined the book world after the pandemic, I'm trying to always paint a picture to them like what a time that was in the bush streets. Like everybody going live all day. You could just say, I wouldn't even watch TV no more. I'm watching everybody
Listen,
live. I'm watching
it was
books of
so
pop
great.
culture. They do three
Mm-hmm.
or 4 hours and then y'all go live and then all
Me
the
and Chris
artists
been
jumping on the
on live
live.
so much.
Crazy.
Yes, like when D Nice used to get up there and he used to spin for hours. Like we were so active. I was so active on live that Instagram full on suspended my time limit, and we would be on live for hours for no reason. Like it was so much because that was the way, that was like the safest way for everybody to communicate. So people could pop in and out. We might talk about something. We might recap on the hour or whatever the case may be. But yeah, during COVID, that's all that we had because wasn't nobody going outside. Oh Jesus, good times.
Yeah, the bush
Good.
streets was lit, man. And then the authors had to come to us because they can't go on tour. They can't fly around. So
Yep.
they was
And I,
always in the live, being
yep.
authentic, being themselves.
Yes, and I love
Robert
that.
Jones Jr., Honor Ray, you
Oh,
know.
especially Robert. Shout out to the author of the prophets. Cause like I think that was another thing, especially for debut authors, because Disha came out. It was Robert, it was Honore, it was Mateo. Like there were so many authors, and truth be told, I think that when they do book tours, everything is so scripted. They got to send out the notes. The publishers and their agents have to send out the notes to their moderators beforehand because half the time they're interviewing with people who haven't read the book. But in that space, they were able to just truly be themselves, and they were literally getting in real time that feedback, but it wasn't a critique. It was, let me tell you what, like, what the Secret Lives of Church Ladies, let me tell you what Jael did because this is how I felt when I read it. Like it was just head on and it was direct, and it was, you can tell that they could feel the love and they were able to be themselves and they could talk about their book and they were able to truly reach their targeted audience outside of what their publishers had arranged for them. Because even Jamila Minix, she wrote Ooh Child, ooh, and that was my book too. Lord, what's the
The
name of the book?
Moonrise over New Jessup.
Thank you. There you go. Whole blank. But when her book came out, like they were able to just talk about their books in a space. Like, but she was saying how, when they were arranging her book tour, some of the areas that they sent her to were some of the most rural areas where there weren't people that looked like her in those seats. And to go on book tours and you're being critiqued and questioned and having these accusatory tones thrown at you for people who have read your book just to be offended by it, that doesn't feel good. It's not encouraging. So to be able to like foster and create these spaces where those authors could just come and talk about their book amongst their own people, they're touching more people than the book tours could ever reach. Because now it's like, okay, damn, I was in live, I was on Nia and Crystal's live, and this author came up and this person came up, I done made me a list, and did you know they had all these other books? And it's like, I'm gonna tell my girlfriend about this. So now they bounce around and that network just expands a little bit more. So I think that was definitely a great thing that we were able to do then. That was during COVID because we couldn't go nowhere. So, and then on top of that, you ain't got to get dressed or nothing. Just cut your ring light on and kick it. Prime time.
So, what you saying that, I want to skip to a question I have for later on, but let's do it right now. Let's talk about attending like book events, book conferences, author talks. Like some folks have never gone to one. They've only seen things online, right?
Right.
Tell the audience about like what you gain from going to the actual events, seeing these authors in person, hugging them, shaking their hand, all the things. Like, how does that feel?
I think it's like meeting your favorite musicians. And sometimes you'll say, you shouldn't people shouldn't meet their idols. They shouldn't meet their favorites, because sometimes people are like straight up trifling people. But I've been told, and it's been posted a lot, like Kennedy Ryan, for example, they've considered her the Beyonce of like Black romance. I've heard she gives the best hugs. I think I've been in. Did I? Was that Jim? Nope, that wasn't Kennedy Ryan. That was Jasmine Guillory and Tia Williams. I like going to in-person events. I remember my mom used to talk about when she was younger, she would go. So my mom, she gets to flex on me and say, "Oh, I've met Toni Morrison." Like, don't say that to me. That's not fair. Like I'm jealous because it's later gone. I can't do that. But I know the feeling of being able to meet an author when you've read their books. Like I said, in I read in 4K, if you will. So like by the time I finish that book and I have let go of the hand of my main character and everybody else, and then I can meet their creator, and that's even if they're like a snob or whatever, like just being able to directly connect with that person and see how they engage with their audiences, and like just to see how genuinely happy they are to see that there are people that appreciate their work on a different level, and to know that their work has touched everybody differently. It's a vibe. And then as far as like like, and even in like book author conversations and just like conferences, because there's a lot of them out right now. When you have spent, if you came up in the COVID era, if you came up in that era and you met so many people online, you talking to people, and normally for us that's not normal. We go outside, we might meet somebody, we might not. But the ways that the relationships were formed during COVID, to finally be able to meet up with those people, like we flying out, we getting in the car, we pulling up, and we're seeing each other for the first time, and it doesn't feel like it. Like I remember Crystal and I had connected on Bookstagram, and the first time I went down to Bama to see her, this heifer got out her car and made me drive. Ma'am, why I got to drive your car and I just got here? I'm just like in person meeting you, but it didn't feel like it. It felt like, you have those relationships where it's like we've been together forever. I ain't never seen you in person a day in my life. So being able to do that in a book setting where you have done the online buddy reads, y'all group texting, y'all calling and cussing, sending voice notes about these characters, and to be able to then pull up, because there's been plenty of characters we've been ready to jump. And when I found that author, it was on site. You know what I mean? Like we got questions because who told you to write this character like this? Like that feels good, especially when those authors are receptive in whatever ways. You know what I mean? I think everybody should at least do a book conference, a book event, a book festival. You got to do it at least once or twice. And then to see the moderators, it's a lot of people right now, like Jared, a black man reading for one. When Reggie was up, Jamise does her book interviews. Kayla Starr, she's doing a lot right now with book interviews and stuff. Crystal is always talking to some damn body. You know what I mean? To actually see them in real time, like, and when you're doing your book interviews, like when you've talked to like Daniel Black and everybody else, like it's so good to be like, you know what? I know him. I read that book. I know our conversations. I know how he typically responds, but look how they gel together to have this conversation flow. Like, it's a beautiful thing. Like, I don't know how else to describe it without being super long-winded, but it's you take pride in it because we don't celebrate, people don't celebrate books in the ways that we do. But like for us, it's like it's Coachella all the time, basically. So I think
and the reason why I brought it here, because you mentioned something a little while ago about like these folks go on like MSNBC, they go on the Breakfast Club, they go to all these places, and those folks don't really always read their work. But they can
I
tell,
ain't read the book.
they can tell that we've actually took our time, we've read it, we've annotated it. They can tell the depth of the questions, like, wow, they appreciate you
because
actually took your time and embraced this
about
thing.
these characters, and I cannot give the book away. Like, why the hell did Farouk do that? Like, was you cool when you wrote that? And it's like that type of conversation. I also think it gets people who haven't read the book excited, because then it's like, oh, what's she talking about? Oh, what's going on? Oh, I want to go get the book. Like, I need to do that because what's her name? Lauren Francis Sharma with Till the Well Runs Dry. I absolutely have forever hands for the male main character in that book, because insane. But every time something happened, and then it's like when I can meet that person, be like, girl, that man got on my nerves. Like Terry McMillan, when it comes to what's the name of that damn book? Oh Lord, with Zora in it. What's the
She
name
got
of the
so
book?
many.
I know it. Hold on, wait. Disappearing Acts.
I love that book. I love that book.
That
And the
book
movie. And the movie.
I haven't watched the movie yet. I refuse. That when I tell you that book stressed my soul,
You haven't watched the movie? Wesley Snipes and now
I know.
you got to do it. You got to bump it up. You got to
Sanaa
bump
Lathan
it
be
up.
doing too much. And like between A Family That Prays, when Sanaa Lathan was stupid there, I don't have the capacity to see her be stupid the way Zora was stupid, because I was hot. I mean hot as fish grease. Hot. I can't. Mm-mm. But Disappearing Acts tore me up. And every time I think about that book, I just be like, you know what? I can't
You
take
know
it.
what? I need to read it again. I was like 18, 19 when I read it. I need to read it again at this point and see how I feel about it.
Yeah, it's a high stress level when you go over there. So it's like if I ever met Terry McMillan, I gotta come at her neck for Disappearing Acts first. Like how could
But
you do this to me? You know?
but
So
but
like I love
but
that
to your
experience.
point, for instance, this past weekend, I saw Dr. Black on the side right before the event even started,
Mm-hmm.
and Dr. Black was like, "Man, how far did you drive?" And
Yeah.
out of all the people that was there, he was like really appreciative that I was there, like individually, and gave me the
Yeah.
biggest hug, big crazy hug, like really showed
Because y'all family
gratitude.
there.
I'm glad you're here.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it hits different. It does. I had driven recently, I want to say maybe it was like May or April. I drove up to Baltimore because Bernice McFadden was on her book tour. And I needed to touch my auntie because I call her Auntie B. Like I call her my auntie. Um, I needed to hug her after I read Firstborn Girls. Like I needed to be in whatever room she was in after having read her memoir. And when I walked in the room, like I had gotten there late, it was like on the tail end. But when I walked in the room, she stopped. Like I tried to, church finger my way in and sit down. Child, she stopped. Exactly. She stopped the entire thing and said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Hey, Auntie." And then she said, "Oh my gosh." Like, and then like kind of introduced me a little bit, but like it was so rich and it was so real because she know I'm pulling up. I'm gonna find you. I'm coming to your door. And we chopped it up for a little bit, but I had did the Sugar Rush. I had did like a crazy buddy read. I want to say in like January of 21 or something like that. And I had bought a copy of Sugar and I shipped it around the country. And I got a whole bunch of people to sign that book and they sent it back to me and I had gotten a sweatshirt
Wow,
made. Yeah, I
that's
had gotten a
amazing.
sweatshirt
That's
made from
amazing.
Bernice
That's
from a
amazing.
slogan that I came up with based on the book. And I sent it to her in a package. And she still has that sweatshirt. And I believe she still has that book because that book was crazy. When I read Sugar, I called Crystal immediately. I said, "I don't give a damn what you're doing. Put everything down and pick this up right now." And the way
I
that
gotta
we
go
told
check that out. I
the
gotta
way
see
we
what's up.
told immediately, like it was not a game. So when I
Have you
told, like
read?
I went into her DMs and I fussed her out about that book too. Go ahead. What'd you say?
You read a short story called Black Power?
What book is it in?
No, it's a short story. I think it got published like a long time ago, and they like republished it recently. I did the audio version like about a month ago on Spotify.
Oh, I haven't checked out.
It's awesome. It's
Okay,
awesome. You gotta check it out. It's called Black
because
Power.
because I know she had something in I think Auntie B had something in the 1619 project and something else. I know she's had like some like shorts or like in like different compilations, but I didn't know about that one. I gotta go check it out.
So now here we go. We cannot
Mhm.
let you leave without talking about travel, man. You do travel like nobody's business. You go all over the place. You are a globetrotter. So I love how you express joy and you pour back into yourself. Tell me about like the importance of travel to you.
I think that as a reader, even if I don't use my passport or book a flight, I'm well traveled anyway because these books be taking me everywhere. And like in that same breath, like I want to be able to also see the world in real time. So like if I can go somewhere, I'ma go. Like this year I did a blitz between May and I just finished what I'm considering my world tour because now I'm tired and I'm maxed out. We won't talk about it. But I went to Chicago to see Beyonce. When I went to Chicago, I ate, I walked, I people watched. I went to the
You got
comp. I
you
went.
got a slice? You got a slice?
I had
Chicago
people.
pizza?
I don't know that I did. I went to some spot. I ordered food from Sharks. I had popcorn from Garrett's.
You
I
had
had
Harold's chicken? Tell me you had Harold's chicken with the greasy bag? The greasy
no,
bag?
I didn't go to no, I didn't catch
Oh,
them.
come on,
I
man.
gotta go back. I have to go back
You
because
gotta
Chicago,
fly back to Harold's chicken.
yeah, Chicago did me dirty. The first day I got there, I got caught in a dust storm on a boat tour and then it rained. And it just it tore me down.
You did
Like
what?
I got caught. I was doing a boat tour and right before we got on the, like, as we were boarding, we got this crazy weather alert on our phone, and they were saying that there was a dust storm coming. And as we're taking the tour, and they're talking about all the buildings, the dust was just coming in, and I got abused. Listen, so much stuff happened in Chicago. I definitely need to go back. I saw the Bean. I walked Michigan Avenue. I did a lot. I feel like I did everything and nothing, but like I ate. I had pizza from somewhere. Um, I had the catfish that they put lemon pepper in. I went to Sharks. I think I ordered something from Sharks. That I ain't never met a place that fries catfish in lemon pepper dressing, like
I
seasoning. Oh
love
my
some lemon pepper. I love some lemon pepper.
bomb. I ate good in Chicago, and then I went to London to see Beyonce, and then I pivoted and I went to Rome. And the food, all I did was eat. Like, I really just wanted to just walk around and be in the mix. So that's literally what I did. I was like, I'm just pick some places and I'm gonna go. So I'm definitely one of those people where it's like, if it makes sense for me to just not be home, I'm outside. I'm gonna find somewhere to go, and I'm gonna find something to do. And I'm not gonna plan a thing. I'm just gonna go off vibes and see where the journey takes me, and then I just kind of go from there. And I think it's the same way. I feel like I travel blind in the ways that I don't read a synopsis before I read a book. Every book I read, I go in blind. And
So tell me something you learned. Something you learned in Rome you didn't know before you went. Something you found out in Rome.
They don't cook pasta the way that we cook pasta.
What you mean?
Like their al dente versus, I guess, what American al dente is. There's still a little bit of texture to them noodles, but the food is good. The food is rich and like flavor and everything. But them noodles is
A
just
little
like,
texture.
yeah, like they might boil them for like 7 minutes instead of 12.
It's a little chewy. It's a little chewy.
Yeah, and it stressed me out, but it was good. The wine is great. The flavor is good. I ate my weight in gelato. Um, and there's just so much. There's so much to do in just walking around. What?
Yeah.
Oh,
Facts. Gelato. Yeah. Facts.
I love gelato. And like there's so much you could just learn in people watching, which is why I like to just like go and see stuff. Also, I think one of my biggest takeaways, I think in major cities and just in international cities also, you realize exactly, like, as Americans, how attached we are to like social media, like in an unhealthy kind of way, because those people are outside, they're talking to each other, they're walking around, they're sightseeing, they're embracing community and just
What a
each other.
concept.
Like, I told my mom, I said, I think I'm gonna go ahead and get me a house phone and an answering machine, because that's what I need. I want to leave this cell phone in the house, and I just want to go outside. I want to detach from the social media part of the world and just like embrace people and culture and see what that hits for. And then I'll come back and I might tell somebody about it. I really like that, because like
But
people really just make time for each other. And I love
yes,
that.
I told somebody last night, like you can tell in everyday conversation, people are getting more socially awkward. Like they're
Yes.
not used to carrying on a continuous conversation. It's
Yeah. And
all
it's
that
like,
all that
and
phone time.
yeah, and people have become so closed off where it's like, you know what, I don't even want to talk to you. I have gotten to a point where I stopped asking people questions based on how they initially approached me, or like how they initially present themselves in conversations. Because if I can tell that you don't want to talk, I'm not going to ask you shit. I'm not going to ask you a thing. You got it. We can talk about whatever this is. And when it's done, all right, thank you so much. Because like I want to know, like I want to be in the business of whatever it is we talk about. Like I want to know who I'm talking to. So when I meet people where it's just like, oh yeah, no, I'm like, okay, I don't want to do this. It was lovely. It was lovely talking to you. I'm gonna let you go, and I leave it there. Like I miss being able to just randomly communicate with people about everything and nothing. And I think that's like something that's kind of lost now, because people are just like, so we're also guarded. But then when you go out the country, you realize how much people aren't guarded just by the way that, the way people serve food. You know what I mean? Like there aren't as many gloves around, but you know that these people aren't dirty. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing to question. Like it's interesting. Like it's odd living here in this country that we live in. But you know.
Would you ever imagine living abroad? And if you
Yes,
would, where would
Paris.
you love to live?
Paris. Paris immediately. There are so many
Now,
bookstores
now,
in Paris
why Paris?
because I'm a sucker for a really good love story.
Have you been
Um,
to Paris before? Have you been?
yes, yes.
Okay, okay, cool. Okay,
I've
okay.
been to Paris, and I like. I think as a New Yorker, I like being in those major cities that New York was based on. Like when we think about when them people came over here and started stealing shit, you know what I mean? When they try and develop these major cities based on what home looked like for them. So home could be London, it can be Paris, it can, all of that is like so mixed in. And it's like I like being able to go to like one of the origins of, it's not like the original, you know what I mean? But when I walked around Paris, I felt like I was in New York. I didn't feel I wasn't like nervous. There was no anxiety that I had just walking around Paris by myself at night. Like I was just outside. And it was the same thing in Rome. Like my self-awareness and just like being aware of my surroundings, that's a given. But like I feel so at home in those places because no one's bothering you. These people walk past you the way we walk past people in New York, and we don't speak. We just move out each other's way. We mind our business. We keep it moving. I like that. But then the food is better and love is just there everywhere. And I'm a sucker for the Eiffel Tower. And knowing that I can just hop, jump, and skip to any other country for less than $100, yeah, put me over there. Put me over
Yeah.
there.
Yes, yes.
Immediately.
So on the backside of this whole situation, I ask you a question about school, right?
Hmm.
So you're currently an English major, correct?
Yes.
English. Cool.
Hmm.
So tell me, what are you seeing in your classes about writing and literature that's different than what you actually see in the book world? Like, give me that clash.
Everything. I think for me now, especially like my peers are like fresh out of high school, so like we have a lot of conversations about the benefits of AI. And I don't know if you've seen that meme that says, my biggest flex is saying that I was able to make it through undergrad without using Chat GPT to write a paper. I still live that. And these
Come
kids
on,
can't
man.
write,
Come
they
on.
can't formulate a sentence. Their handwriting is terrible. Who they are on paper is not who they are in person. And I show up in my papers the same way I show up in conversation with my professors. And then so there's that disconnect, but also in the ways that I can write out a book review or something on social media, I have to remember not to be that person in my papers. But then I realized that in the real world, outside of that instructional setting, we're talking about books already. Like it's not MLA format when we have these conversations about books. It's not so tailored. It's a full-on free-flowing situation where it's just full on expression. School is just one of those things where you got to do it the proper way to get the paperwork. But then once you out here, none of it happens that way. Like if you can talk, if you are a great communicator, if you are reading and you're just so engrossed and you're touched by a book, you can have any conversation with anybody and it'll come out and it's like, oh wow, they're so well spoken. How'd you do it, girl? All I was just talking you know school, it's just like it gives you the foundation, but other than that, child, please,
I asked
it's
because recently, talking to a few PhDs, I just hearing some PhDs in podcasts, they talk about they went to the MFA program or they went to certain things, but like it almost hindered their writing. They had to
yeah,
pretty much unlearn
oh my
what they
god,
did in school because it was like it put a box on their
yep,
creativity and their flow and
yes, it
how they
stunts your
want to really
growth.
speak.
Like college will stunt your growth. Like I think one of the worst things, like I told my mom and I told Crystal too, because a lot of people like, Nia, where you at? I'm in school and I can't function. I used to be able to throw out, I could push out 8 to 10 books a month. I haven't been able to read because it's like I'm over here reading Jane Eyre. I'm over here with the Canterbury Tales and what's his name? Something Aiken, and there's like an albatross and all of these lesson plans and stuff that I got to write. I don't have time to just sit. I had to read Pride and Prejudice. And this how I knew it was bad. And then I said I have to put these books down for a while. In one of my classes, I had to read Pride and Prejudice, and we had to kind of like do a analytical breakdown or whatever for the book. I couldn't get through the original, so I took my ass over to read Nikki Payne's version, and I was trying to read it side by side. And it jacked me up because I ended up refinishing Nikki Payne's. I was like, I still don't know what happened in the original book. I couldn't take it.
Did you read
Like, huh?
the E.B. Du Bois version?
No.
Yeah.
And that's right.
We had talked about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I have it. I haven't read it. But I got so swept away with the retelling, I forgot that I was doing this for homework purposes. So I can like, because the intention was to use the retelling and the original to do a comparative something, right? It didn't work out that way because I forgot, and I was like, oh damn, that's crazy. So I haven't been able to focus, and it's like it does being in school when you're like a reader on purpose. It stunts your growth because it also causes for you to like look at these books and analyze them differently, and it's like it's not, I can't, like, if I'm just reading for fun, I can go through all of the things that these characters did, but when it comes to me reading for school, there I have to look more at like structure and all of the pointing out all of the personifications and all this other stuff in the book, and I'm like, I don't know, I'm asleep. I had one class this semester. It was oh gosh, the origin of language or something, and I was stressed out. I was stressed out because I felt like I couldn't pronounce nothing. I felt like I couldn't read because it was like we started from Latin and it went from phonemes to all this other stuff. And I was like, bruh, I can't take this. I think my professor felt sorry for me, but I passed, so it's cool. But like being in school and reading for fun, it's for the ones that can do it, they literally belong to an elite class. Me, I refuse. I just be looking at some of this stuff like, yeah, no, I'll just read after I graduate because I can't do both. It tears me up.
And that was a follow-up question I had about like how does the school part how does it influence your like this leisure reading? How does it impact the reading?
If I can catch a book, like it, when I tell you that book has to like grab me by my throat and say, come and sit down and talk to me, that's basically where it's been, because otherwise I can't focus. I feel like I got like the worst case of ADHD. Because it's like, dang, I'm sitting here and I'm reading for fun, but like I probably should be doing some homework. I can't do it. It's so difficult for me. And then as an English major, I think if I was like a bio major or something completely different, because my entire curriculum is based around words, you know what I mean? For me to be able to read for fun, it doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. So it's like I struggle. But like during holiday breaks and stuff, I can definitely try and get something in. But shoot, since I've been on summer break and I ain't been able to pick up a book. I feel so stunted. I
And
feel like
Ms. Nelly said, reading for school is for the birds. It makes you hate reading. I saw a stat years ago, and they talked about how many college graduates like never read ever again.
yeah.
Like a high number of college graduates never read again.
Yeah, I won't be one of them. I'm gonna tell you something. As soon as I walk across that stage, I probably won't stay the whole graduation. I'm leaving and I'm going in my house to curl up on my couch and I need to read. There are 16 bookcases in this house full of books. And I think the only good thing is for some of my courses, like my African American Studies class, a lot of like my history classes, I have been introduced to a lot of
Wait a
different.
minute. You have African American study classes?
Yeah, my minor is Africana Studies.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to holler at you after the show. We go holler off the yeah, for sure.
Got you. But yeah, like in those classes, like I learned a lot. Like I picked up, I think one semester we were talking about Polly Murray, and she was the black lady, but she got the. I think modern day, the people talking about her said that they think that she would have identified as like they them, but like she had like a crazy origin story and the way that she grew up in the schools that she went to and how she was trying to apply to all of these different schools and how she was at the top of her class at Howard Law, and part of her thesis ended up being what the men involved in the law case for Brown versus Board of Education, that was the foundation for their case. It was her work. But so much of her writing was talked about in the class, and I was like, I need to know who this person is. So I bought everything on them. I ain't touched it yet. So like I think that's a good thing. Like I've been introduced to a lot of different like black authors that like have played major roles in the ways that like black education has developed. So it's like, yeah, I need that.
Yeah,
But other than
yeah,
that, I haven't been
yeah,
able to do a damn
yeah.
thing. It's college and books
Let me tell
for
you
fun. Mm-mm.
this wild Paula Murray story, right? I had this
Mm-hmm.
author on the show years ago. She had this book called Riding Jane Crow, right? Riding Jane Crow. And at
Mm-hmm.
the end of the book is a story about Paula Murray as a young lady. She trying to ride the segregated train back in the day, and she was
Mm-hmm.
dressed as a boy.
Yes.
And they got an actual picture of her dressed as a boy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because I
And so
think
she
part of
had different writings about
that. Uh-huh.
her experience as a woman on the train, as a black
Yep.
woman, and then her experience as a boy on the train.
Yes,
In
because
the
I think at one
contrast, it was
point she
crazy.
was homeless or something, and she was traveling up and down the East Coast, and she found that it was safer for her to travel dressed as a boy. So she would have like she cut her hair short, wearing the pants, doing all of the things, and for a long time, people thought she was a dude. hmm Just to be safe, like there was probably Murray
That's
did some
crazy.
shit. Yeah.
Yes, she did. Yes, she did. So, in closing, to round this interview out, I want to
hmm
always give something for the up and coming people. So, if anybody started their Bookstagram account like tomorrow, fresh page, what is some advice you would give a new, brand new person with the experiences that you have now? You have over 7,000 followers, 7,000 strong, faithful followers.
Yeah, that number ain't gonna move. Oh, what would I tell them people? Listen, at this point, especially with the way that social media has pivoted since I started my page, um, to a certain extent, I like to think that, my work, Crystal's work, Jared, Reggie, um, what's her name, Antonia, Jamise, like a lot of the work that we have done just being out here, never without a book. I love Anna. Um, we were out here just doing stuff and we were just trying. We were trying shit and a lot of stuff stuck, a lot of stuff didn't, but a lot of people ended up taking their talents to TikTok and blew up just doing stuff. Like a lot of stuff, we look at some of these people like, now, how the hell they get famous off of that? You know what I mean? Like if the intention is to be famous, like just go for it. Like don't set yourself up with limits. Just try everything. But so long as you are staying true to yourself, your niche will it'll find you. You don't have to go out and look for it. A lot of bookish content creators, they have been pivoting. Shout out to what's his name, Trey, I think is his name, Trey read that he just had a partnership with Dior. Now
Yep, we
how
talked
he,
about that. Yep.
you know what I mean? Like it's so much stuff just kind of happening, um there are a lot of people like Random House has some great programs going on. Kayla Starr is doing a lot of stuff with like Meta right now with threads and all these events. A lot of people, like I think Reese Witherspoon is starting to see people. Like Oprah has been having these conversations where a lot of bookstagrammers have been pulling up. Kiona has been in a lot of those rooms. That's shout out to Chocolate Cover Pages. Like there's so many people that have just been doing stuff where it's like they have kind of very much tested almost anything. Where right now you can literally try it all. And then because a lot of people are also trying to also, I don't think it's people. I think it's that for whatever reason, books are becoming popular. But how can I say that? Because I read, you know what I mean? But no, books aren't becoming popular. Reading is becoming more trendy. So people are starting to incorporate more reading into their lifestyle content. And that also opens a window for people to pivot. So if you don't necessarily want to stay centered specifically on books, you have so many other options that you can and avenues that you can like try while still incorporating the things. So I say for any content creator, if you're an aspiring content creator, or you just trying to figure it out, just post that shit. Just post it and see what happens.
I
Follow
agree.
like take the
I agree.
tips, with the hashtags. Don't use the hashtags. Don't use the hashtags. Post this time. Don't post this time. Like do what feels most genuine and authentic to you, and everything else will 100% fall into place. Like, seriously.
Totally, absolutely agree. Thank you so much for your time. I'm
You're
so
welcome.
glad we were able to make this happen.
Yes, this was
Globetrotter. I was
fun.
able to buckle you down for an hour and get some
Yes.
time in. Thanks for the wonderful audience that came and showed up, commented, questions, participated. Thank y'all for the future watchers of the show on
Yeah.
YouTube. And I will catch you guys on Thursday. I'll be right back here with Dr. Monique having a great live show here on YouTube, man. So I will see you all on Thursday. The flyer is soon to come. You'll see it in my stories. And that's the man, Sean P. We out. Peace.
Bye.